we'll get this going. Hi, everybody. This is Kari Kwas with the Northwest Neighborhood Association and the gallery that is here this evening. We are recording this, obviously, because if you're not here right now, you'll see it later. Tonight, we have three wonderful guests from the Everett school system. So we have Principal Tony Wentworth from Whittier. We have Misha Hahn from, she's waving and I'm letting other people in. She's a Whittier mom and then also teaches at Evergreen Middle School. And then we have Kristen Gebert, who teaches at Everett High School and is also a Northwest neighbor. So I'm glad that everyone can be here. Hi, Paul Roberts. So I will get us going with comments from Scott Murphy, our council liaison, who could not be here this evening, with some updates from City Council. And then we will hear from Tony and then Misha and then Kristen, and hopefully have time for question and answers and just learn a bit more about what's going on with Everett schools and what it's like in this year of COVID. And the people who showed up early got to see this earlier, but 2020, very bad, would not recommend. So let's not do this again, people. Wear your masks, please. Okay, so from Scott Murphy, dear Northwest neighbors, I'm sorry I was unable to attend tonight, but wanted to provide a brief report regarding the addition of 3 more marijuana retailers in Everett. That issue came to a vote last night and was approved 6-1 to add 3 additional retailers in Everett with the requirement that they must obtain a medical endorsement in order to operate. Let's see, I'm gonna mute everybody for a second. There we go. And then, let's see. So, a medical endorsement in order to operate. This should help establish better consistency on the availability of medical marijuana products throughout the community, which has been a concern for some people. Point 2, the mayor's 2021 proposed budget has been presented to the council by the mayor and her administration. There are a number of cuts made earlier this year that would continue into next year, and that is, of course, a big concern. The council will begin discussing the proposal at the meeting on the 28th of this month, and there will be several opportunities throughout November for the public to weigh in. The Housing Hope proposal for the rezone of the single-family ball field on Norton to build approximately 45 units for low-income homeless families with students in the Everett School District is coming to a vote next week. The issue was discussed extensively at the council meeting last night, and many citizens weighed in with their points of view. There are compelling arguments on both sides of the issue. So comment if you would like to for the next week. 4th, there is a grant coming to Washington State through Snohomish County that Everett is planning to participate in that would provide funding for the homeless. The mayor has proposed using Everett's share of the funding for a pallet shelter program in Everett. The council has expressed a desire to discuss other options, and he expects that this discussion will be happening potentially as early as next week's council meeting. See y'all next month on Zoom. And maybe if I can unmute Paul for a second, or if you can unmute yourself, what is this pallet shelter program?
Well, it is sometimes called a tiny house project. And so I can only tell you what I know of that from other cities' experience, but they build small shelters and manage those, and so people have a place to live. It is not a blue tarp. It is not a tent. It is the pallet shelters are simply small, structures, and those structures then provide something more stable than encampments that you would find. So, a way to look at this, and I've worked with a number of cities around the state, and I'm very familiar with the ones on the I-5 corridor. We find the shelters kind of come in several forms. One are just simply encampments that exist in woods or in parking lots or somewhere. The second is those that are somewhat sanctioned, meaning somebody has allowed the property to be used in that way, but not necessarily supervised. And then there are those which have some supervision, and then there are those which are structured, and then there are those which are structures. So there's a sort of I mean, if you will, there's sort of a range of these. The experience, at least my experience in working with cities on these issues, are that without real solid oversight, they don't work very well. And so the notion is, and as you can imagine, in many cases, we're dealing with folks who have challenges that include mental illness or substance abuse or healthcare challenges or so on. And these programs really need to have supervision from professional people who know how to deal with those problems. And if they don't have that, they're not very successful. And when they're not successful, there's collateral issues associated and around the properties where they're located. So the Pallet shelter program would be a one, and I guess we're asking the administration to come forward with a proposal, but it would be something that would be a well-supervised, small structure kind of situation, and they'd have to find a site and so on. But it is intended to provide more stable emergency housing as opposed to tents and tarps. I hope that answers the question. I'm happy to answer more, but that's kind of the way that we, at least that I look at those, having worked with some other cities.
That's great, Paul. I was Pallet. It just sort of threw me off. Little houses, tiny houses, and that kind of thing I can understand. That'll be interesting to see where this goes. Thank you. Holly?
So you said oversight is the biggest issue. So with the Pallet program we're talking about, are we saying that the city would provide the oversight, or that we're looking for a private organization to oversight for a Pallet situation?
Well, and that's a great question. I think that's open to a proposal. I think the city, given our finances, we're really not in a position to do that work directly. I would be very concerned if we were trying to do that. But let me give you an example. Catholic Community Services has a more structured organization to do this kind of work. There are other organizations as well. And when we think about the work that's being done at Claire's Place, which is that's really a multifamily structure, but they're doing that work. They're considered to be one of the best. And I would think that for the very reasons I just mentioned, you need to have people who are professionally trained and capable of dealing with substance abuse, mental health, other health issues, who know how to get people to the help they need. And we in the city are in such budget challenges that, first of all, I don't think we have people who have those skills who are employed with the city right now, not that I'm aware of. And we're not in a position financially or otherwise to try to employ them. I think we're better off working with them. So anyway, I don't mean to wander on, but.
I was just trying to get the scope of what oversight meant in this particular situation. It just means somebody needs to have some, and that's the kind of situation we want with oversight.
Correct. It needs to be managed with people who know how to do that work.
Who?
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, then I have to unmute myself. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Holly, for the question. I wanted to go to the Council of Neighborhoods rep, Tim, wherever he went, and then Pamela Lynn is visiting from Riverside. Thank you for coming, Pamela. So she also was at that meeting, and David was there too, because he sits in as Port Commissioner. So Tim, what's the Council of Neighborhoods update?
Okay, let's see. We had a report from Council President Judy Chewy. Oh, by the way, we met on September 28th. It was a Zoom meeting, 4 o'clock. They've actually the city's cut expenses down 5.5%. But of course, as they said, we now do not expect to recover from COVID-19 very quickly. I think that's pretty obvious. Okay, and as I think we already heard that the most items cut from 2020 will also be cut in the 2021 budget. I think Kay Barnes has been hired as an equity manager full-time, and she's going to meet with the council neighborhood soon. The city is also looking for a new planning director. And someone I don't know if it's a first name or a last name, Rupali, is, she's a new hire working for the community development and primarily with CHIP. And by the way, this might directly apply to us. The last date for reimbursement regarding mini grant stuff or matching grants things is December 6th. If we have a bill that we need to get paid, that's our last chance. Okay, we passed a motion to continue our current officers through next May because things have been so weird. And then it got really interesting when Carol, the chairperson, brought up the districting question because she has deep concerns. And it turns out many people have deep concerns about the current districting map that's been proposed. And I really can't speak terribly well for the people with concerns, but one fellow said the current map disregards language and income level differences, i.e. Delta Riverside combined with Northwest Everett, Lowell's being paired with the Everett core. People of the river should represent themselves. So there's this strong movement. And people were just really upset about the way it's been set up. And I was completely surprised. So that led to, there was much discussion back and forth. And then, let's see, a motion was proposed. John Sweeney, one of our two neighborhood representatives, passed a motion, I'm just paraphrasing, that the council neighborhoods ask the districting commission to consider the east-west split of the districts 1 and 2, not the proposed north-south split. And that motion was held. And the council recommends that they consider this. I abstained, but a 4 in total abstained. There were 8 yeses and 0 noes. And then David gave a report regarding the porch. It rapidly became a very interesting meeting when that topic hit the fan. Questions? Oh, it was interesting. That was a day that Microsoft meetings were down for most people. I think because the Council of Neighborhoods was meeting, I think Kari's districting commission couldn't meet, right?
Right. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Time just is keeps on moving on. Yeah, and I will just comment quickly because I think I'm the only one on here from the districting commission that we did move forward, and we did hear that we got that report and feedback, and the commission decided to move forward with the proposed A8, which has now become A9 because of changes. And we have a meeting on Monday the 19th, which is 4 days to look at what public comment has come in since that map has been put forth publicly. So it was out for more than 10 days. So Pamela, yeah. Oh, here, hold on. There.
Okay, great. So, so I was one of the people that was upset with the map and the north, south, and east, west. And I've been in contact with the commission and the districting commission, and they answered my questions. And some of the information actually isn't true. It's not true that the demographics are different. They're actually the same. And then the other thing is that it had to do with compactness, and that if we did have the boundary around Broadway, it would affect keeping the neighborhoods together in the south. And so the districting commission really did the best job they could with all the parameters they had. And so since that time, all my concerns have been addressed by the commission, and I really felt heard, and I really appreciate that and all the work they did. So I just thought I'd give a follow-up on that.
Thank you, Pamela. Anything else from the Council of Neighborhoods before we move on to education? And this lovely screen that I'm sure everyone's been looking at every day like I do. First off, I'd like to introduce Tony Wentworth. He's the principal over at Whittier, and Whittier's my alma mater. Go Wildcats. Great school. And it's been fun when we've been able to participate in events there. It feels like it's been a long time. We just were painting our kitchen. Jackie mentioned doing something there, and we have a piece of art that was from that art auction you did with the kids. So it's like the third grade. They all made little panels, and the teacher did birch over it, and we love it. So we're looking forward to being back there at the school. But I'd love to hear from you about how it is to lead kids who aren't actually in your school and what that is like and how we can help. So thanks for being here, Tony.
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me. And, you know, this is definitely, I would have to say, the most unique year, probably in the history of education. This is my 8th year at Whittier, and definitely, you know, I can say the most unique year as well. And, you know, we got a little taste of that last spring, but I think the part of it is the uncertainty of what was going to happen as we rolled through the summer, where I believe there definitely was optimism that we would be back in the classroom. And then by the time we got to August, I think the reality set in of that's just not possible. And so I'd say, you know, the starting point was really the launch of the year, because we knew we were going to be in a distance learning situation. So by the time we got kind of early mid-August, the priority was just making sure that the systems that we were using were systems that teachers understood, number one, and that they were ready for it to implement. Because so ultimately we gave teachers everything they needed, every request they needed to make sure they could launch it and make sure that the kids, the families could access the learning information and the platform, because the platform itself, which is a common platform for all teachers in the district, is the key piece. Because last spring there are many different systems that were used, but the feedback from families, and I feel for the families, because we have kind of the one measuring point is we have one family that has 7 children in the Everett public schools. They have a kindergartner, a first grader, a second grader, a fifth grader, let's see, 8th grade, 9th grade, and I think one older one. So which I don't even know how they do it. I see mom in Zoom running around the house trying to help all the kids. So that's kind of that's a good reminder of that's why a common system is critical to help families that especially have many kids. And then the partnership with the families is huge. Never more important than this year, because parents are teaching their kids and supporting their kids. And especially at the younger level, the reality is at kindergarten, first grade, parents have to help. Otherwise, it's almost not possible. And to second grade to some degree, we see it by third grade. By third grade, there's a higher level of independence, and we'll start to see second grade. The second graders will get there this year, but kindergarten, first grade, parents have to support their kids. Otherwise, it is almost not possible for kids to be able to do this on their own. And then, you know, within this virtual system of how do you build a classroom community or a school community, last year when they left, the teachers knew their kids. This year, they're starting from scratch. So you're having to build relationships online like no one has ever done before. So, but I think at this point, it's very evident that it can be done. But it's not only building, but then it's a combination of now, okay, we have the systems down, but then the quality of the instruction now has to rise. That's the next step. Although the tough variable is the fact that people are online, and because there are so many people online learning, there's definitely an internet issue of the connection. I've been in many classes where people are frozen, the teacher's frozen. So that's the wild card variable that we we can't control. So it requires incredible flexibility to just kind of ride this wave of sometimes someone's talking and then they're just frozen, including the teacher. So, and the weather pattern is going to impact the connections as well as we head into the winter. So I'm always crossing my fingers every day to make sure the weather's not too bad. And then I'd say at this point is now sustaining the class community and the school community that we've established, which means I project moving forward, we have to have something, every month, some event or something that draws kids together, that makes them want to be a part of the class, to be a part of the school community. And so that's part of the planning process, and say what is the next thing, whether it's working with PTA to keep the kids engaged, to uplift them, to make them excited about being a part of the school community. But then that's also balanced with this has been, probably some of the most challenging years, for many teachers, possibly feel like they're beginning teachers all over again, because if for those that have strong technology skills, it is a significant advantage. But for those that have had to learn a lot, it is incredibly time consuming, because the learning curve to understand every detail of what works, why it works, within all the systems of technology, makes it very challenging. So we have to really support teachers, and you asked what can the neighborhood association do. I think that would be one thing. That was a conversation I had with our office team today, of kind of the next step, because we've gotten to this point, but as we progress into the winter, we're going to have to keep also finding some just positive moments, or just ways to support teachers and uplift teachers as well. And the reality is, there's going to be moments, just like kids have moments, where there's a wave of people, it's just the reality of human beings and circumstances in everyone's lives, that we have to pick each other up. Many of us will be, we're going to be strong and sustaining, a strong mindset, but there's moments for everyone where if we see someone who needs to be lifted up, then we've got to step up and help each other, just like we do with kids, and just like we teach our kids to do that for each other. So that's kind of a snapshot of where we are up to this point. The reality of, are we ever going to return to the classroom this year, that's a good question, but I would say, I go back to what the conversation when I came in about science is real. Yes, it is. I would emphasize that my kindergarten teachers are emphasizing that more than ever to their kindergartners. Science is real. It is real. And we go by the data, and right now I can tell you that the data is not looking good. I saw the numbers. I think we are almost 60%, or 60 cases per 100,000. I know King County is at 78. Pierce is 79%. So we are trending in definitely the wrong direction. So I just don't know if we will get to that point anytime soon. And even the districts that have been more open to communicating that we're coming back, they're backtracking. I know Snohomish was the latest district to say, no, we're pausing and delaying. And other districts in South counties, I think Pierce County, they are backtracking also. So I think the reality of the cases and the increases, it just will not allow us to return. And then the other part is the safeguards, because we have a group of students that would be the first wave to come back if we get there. We have the life skills special education program at Whittier, which is the highest needs special education students. But even for that scenario, we're analyzing the safety for the staff, because with the supports that this group of students needs, you cannot be 6 feet apart. It's not possible. So that's where the safety the safety supports need to be in place to make sure our staff feel safe, and in all schools that have higher needs special education students, of how do you make this work and so it's safe for staff and we're not putting people at risk. So I would love, and I think our teachers would I mean, truly they would much rather be teaching in person, but I think the reality of making sure that people are safe and that we're not spreading COVID even more than what's happening right now, that is the biggest priority. And that's, unfortunately, is what is preventing us from not being able to move forward. So tomorrow is a non-school day, so it's actually a teacher learning day. So all teachers and paraeducators are will be learning in different courses and sessions led by district facilitators and many teachers who are confident in leading sessions that are ultimately to help everybody improve. So tomorrow is going to be a very exciting day for everybody in the district. So that's where we are, and it is just unpredictable what this year is going to look like. And I'm optimistic about the 2021-22 school year being back in person, but until there's a real vaccine, I think we just have to be very cautious on any move we make.
An interesting way to close, because the vaccine, obviously it would be great for all of us to be able to get them, and it's how many can you get done, when will it be done, and then would that then become a requirement of kids going to school, just like they get MMR and all these other ones and that kind of thing. So you had said teacher support, but I'm wondering what that might look like. Would that be volunteers from the neighborhood who do have technology skills helping out, or is it a coffee card, or is it, I mean, what are you thinking there?
Well, so this is what we talked about today, because we have a positive incentive system for students. We call them wow tickets. And so they're actually virtual, because we used to do it by tickets. So teachers would have these jars, and so it's very visual. And then we draw names. So they used to be Monday morning, and then they'd be on the announcements, and it was a big deal. And the kids would come to the office and get their prize. And really, it's built around being safe, being respectful, and then being your best. I mean, those are the three fundamental character expectations. And then there's a lot of details within each of those. So we started it again, but now it's virtual, where the teacher might be in their Zoom session and they still show a ticket or something. But now we have a spreadsheet. So it's a shared spreadsheet. So actually it's even better, because now we can track exactly all the students that are getting them, the frequency in which they're getting them. And I'll say that it's controlled random drawing. So because now we can look at the equity of making sure that it is equitable on to some degree in which people's kids are getting drawn for it. So now we do it in morning announcements, because we have morning announcements every morning. It's pre-recorded. So that was a big learning curve for me to learn how to create the video, follow the template, add introduction music, have a waving flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. So it's actually fun once you get the system down. But so we do every Wednesday, we announce the student winners, and then the office staff, they put together little goodie bags, and then families will come to the building and pick up the prize. So in just a recent conversation, staff talked about, what if we did that for teachers? Because there's so many things that staff are doing for each other that go unnoticed, or the one who receives help notices, but many people want to recognize staff. So I think we're not sure exactly how it'll work, but we're gonna do a similar system where it'll be like teacher wow tickets for just doing something kind or helpful for each other, and then getting something, I think some kind of recognition package for that staff person. So I think, coffee cards or something like that, because it is going to be something where we give it to the staff, and we're going to tell them we're going to tell the staff, you got to come in and pick up your prize. And it'll be a fun recognition, but just kind of like the same thing as with our kids, where the kids are recognized for doing great work. It'll be the same with staff. And so we have a PTA meeting next week, and we'll be talking about the same thing of what can we do to really just uplift, get just positive of uplifting recognition for staff, because this is an incredible challenge, but our staff and I know staff in Everett have been just unbelievable in the work. They're doing whatever they need to do to learn to figure out how to support our kids.
That's great. Okay, so I'll get the steering committee together. We will come up with something.
And it could be added to our little package of staff recognitions when we do start that, and it'll be soon.
Okay, sounds good. We'll participate. Oh, Barb, do you have a question? I might mute you. There you go. Oh.
Have all
we can.
the
There you go.
staff. Oh, sorry, Monica. Anyway, how fun for us in the neighborhood to have all the staff drive by with balloons and honking and the kids waving. We have loved that. And, we don't have anybody at Whittier anymore, but we know the teachers and we just want to, encourage them. But so it's nice having them drive by. That was a fun thing.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yes, and that was one. Yeah, that was one of our big October events, and just the weather worked out, and the families were out, so that was a fun kind of a 1 month in celebration. And again, just to pull people together, and that was nice because people could actually see each other and talk to each other through the neighborhood, and it was fun for the staff.
That's great. Jackie.
Hi, I have a couple questions for you, Tony. Tim and I live right across the school from the playground, and we really miss seeing and hearing all the kids out there, and Jim Cummerly's loud voice during PE, which I used to teach with him, and it's great. So a couple of questions are, the first one is, how's enrollment? Is it staying down?
Yes, we are down. Let's see, we started the year at, I can tell you, 434 students. We were projected at 460, or at 464. So we're about 30 students down from what we projected, and we're down a little bit more. So now we're, I think, about 422. And I think that the ones that we have lost are, I can tell you some of the kindergarten families, first grade families, and that's the reality of it is really hard for kids that young to be able to independently navigate a virtual system on their own without the help of an adult. And I have to say, like, our kindergarten teachers sent they had individual boxes with a ton of materials that pretty much would take families all the way to the holiday break. And first grade, they have distribution every Friday for more materials. So the systems are good, but yeah, they do need the support, and that's who we've lost, unfortunately. And we're trying to get everything as support as much as possible. I mean, the YMCA has options, Boys and Girls Club has options, but it's still very tough for families if they don't have someone to help their kids at home.
Sure. So is the school district worried about the enrollment count then for the money?
Yes, because we're funded based on enrollment, and which is another reason why, when I said the next step for our staff is the quality of what we provide with instruction, but then it's also the school events, continuing to strengthen the classroom community, because that's what's going to keep the kids in and not leave. If they feel the connection and they feel part of a class and the school, they're not going to want to leave. So that's what we have to sustain and keep that strong.
Yeah.
Hold that enrollment. And at all schools, we all have to do that.
Wow. Do you think once everybody gets back in the classroom that the virtual component will continue for those who just want to be at home instead?
I believe people will want to come back. I
Okay.
mean, well, and definitely a huge percent, they will, no matter what, they would put their kids back. And I think a parent perspective, well, parents have told me, whenever
Okay.
you open, it doesn't matter, my kids are coming.
But you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually it's those that, you know, and that's the appreciation of what teachers do and how hard and how skillful teachers are, because there's understanding the content and the technical side, but then it's a bit of an art form too. It's the balance of both at the highest level.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we had a survey just to see where parents were. So I know for Whittier, I don't know what the district percentage was, but at Whittier, of the 100, we had 150 parents respond to the survey, and it was 2/3 said they would like to return, 1/3 said they would remain 100% distance learning. But I think it's also because the reality of they don't feel it's safe yet. So until there's something, a vaccine or something that really alleviates the parent concerns of safety, that's probably where we're going to be. But I do think when it is safe to return, I think almost everyone, if not everyone, will be returning to school. I think the one thing that could change is perhaps because of everyone's really increased level of skill, especially in the Zoom meetings. I think that could be an opportunity for parent meetings sometimes, because for parent conferences, everyone used to have to come in, and for a parent who has to maybe work in Seattle and come in for a 30-minute meeting, you know, maybe they set up a Zoom instead, and then they don't have to leave work and they can do it over Zoom. So I think there's certain things that we can still maintain, but I think the actual teaching, I think it's hard to replicate online, just the quality of what you get in person.
Sure. And my last question is, have you had to lose any staff members at Whittier because of this?
I did lose one. It was one half-time staff person. She was a math support staff person, unfortunately. And that was very painful to lose her because she was very strong. But that's the enrollment dip, where our projection was about 464, and we dropped to 434. So there was a school on the south end, so Forest View, that was slightly higher. So it balanced out to where she ended up going directly to the south end school.
Okay.
But it was all dependent on what the numbers were, and so there was a shifting of teachers throughout the district within the first month.
Okay.
So we had a minimal impact, bigger impact than some of the other schools.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we will move on to Misha. And Misha Han has been on our steering committee for the neighborhood and was our liaison for Whittier 2 years ago. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I see enough on Facebook to know it has not been easy.
No, it has not been easy. So I teach 8th grade science, and the numbers shifting have definitely impacted our school and impacted my workload. I do want to say that the union and the administration in the district has been very supportive of making sure that teachers' health and safety comes first. They've given all of us the option to work from the building or work from home, whichever we feel is safest for us. Personally, I would much rather be in my classroom, because as a science teacher, I need access to all of my equipment, but I'm also childcare. I have a 2nd grader and a 4th grader at Whittier. And so I have to be home. I can't take the kids into the school building with me. So I do have to teach from home. So welcome to my closet. This is where I teach from for many, many hours a day. I converted a closet in my bedroom into an office. It's very cute. You can't see all my whiteboard and my school supplies, but but I sit in a claustrophobic closet on a chair for 8 hours a day, which is not what we're used to as teachers. We're used to being up and moving around. We're used to being able to engage with the kids. We're used to being able to read their facial expressions and their body language. We're used to being able to give them a fist bump and say, "Hi, it's good to see you. I missed you." We're used to being able to connect with kids. And now I sit in a Zoom meeting with all cameras off, all mics muted, and it's really impossible to build community with my students. It's really difficult to build relationships online, especially since I actually have the highest number of students I've ever started with. I started the year with 186 students, which is high for me. I'm usually in the low to mid 170s, and so I have the highest number of kids I've ever had, and I have no real way to reach them. And as a parent, I am teaching full time in my closet with my door closed, so my kids don't come in and use the bathroom, which is right here, while I'm trying to teach. And I can't help my kids with their work because I'm teaching, and trying to find that balance is impossible. And it's really stressful, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm failing at both, which is not a great feeling to have. I think that mental health is a major issue all across the entire country, but especially within the education system. My kids are doing great, but they have breakdowns a lot more easily than they normally would if they were in the classroom, having that great one-on-one relationship with their teacher and being able to spend time with their friends and play on the playground. And I think that being home, stuck in one chair, looking at a screen all day is hard on them. And I know that my students are having a really hard time. I've had a lot of parents reaching out saying, I can't get my kid to wake up. Like I can't get him to get up and go to Zoom, and I've taken away his phone, I've taken away his video games, I've taken away everything, and I just can't get him to do it. And I'm like, that sounds like depression to me. And I think that a lot of our adolescents, our middle schoolers, are really struggling, and they're struggling with something new that they've never experienced before, plus hormones, which is rough. And so it's hard too, because I can't reach out to them and be like, hey, you're okay, this is normal, we're all going through this together, because they have their cameras off and they have their mics muted and they turn on Zoom and they roll over and go back to sleep. And so it's a struggle as a teacher right now. And it's a struggle too, because as a teacher, I care so much about my students. I care about their learning. And to watch them decide not to do it is hard on me. And I tend to put that burden on myself. And my husband turned to me last night and said, Misha, some things you just can't do. And you just have to stop trying to do those things. And I'm like, but. No, he's right. Now, that said, there are a lot of kids who are rising to an amazing challenge. There are a lot of kids who are at home, like 8th graders are childcare for their younger siblings while their parents are working or sleeping or whatever. And I have 8th graders who have like 3 or 4 younger siblings and are on Zoom every day. They're doing all of their work. They're engaged in asking questions. And I am so, so impressed with the resilience of our youth. I think that some kids take the opportunity and slack off, and it's October. Like, give them a couple more months and they're going to get bored of that and they'll come back around. And some kids are rising to an amazing challenge, and it's super inspiring and really cool to see. I think that one of the things that's causing the biggest difficulty and the biggest sense of mental health breakdown for me as a mom, for my kids, and for my students is that this just feels like a grind. Like, it's not fun anymore. We're kind of over the novelty of it. And like when it started, we were doing the teddy bear hunts where people were putting teddy bears in the window, and everybody was going out with sidewalk chalk and writing inspiring messages all over the sidewalk. And we had all of those kind of fun community building in isolation things. And I think that as a neighborhood, if we brought back some of those novelty things just to spice it up a little bit and keep it a little bit lighter and a little bit more fun, I think that would help. I know that with the election, everything is doom, 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 but if we could, do something fun. So one thing I've seen some people doing everybody's talking about Halloween. Are we going to do trick-or-treating? Are we not going to do trick-or-treating? Personally, our family, we're not. We're just going to do a fun little Halloween party with just our bubble that we've been interacting with. So we're going to do like all the classic Halloween games, except for bobbing for apples, because that's still not okay. But one thing I've seen that was really cute was you boo someone. So you get a little treat bag and you go and you knock on their door and then you run away and hide. And you leave the treat bag and the treat bag says, "You've been booed." And it just, it's a fun little way to spice things up a little bit and to treat your neighbors and treat your friends and colleagues. That one's kind of nice. I've also seen, I've seen some teachers, we were doing it more in the spring, but I'd like to bring it back, doing a virtual happy hour where you get a chance to really vent about stuff and have a chance to just get it all out there, because I think there's a lot of pent up stuff that normally when you're in the building with your colleagues, you get a chance to go, "Oh, that was so frustrating," and then you get it out of your system and then you can move on. But there's not as much of that right now. Now it's all just, it's very isolating. It's very isolated, doing things on your own. And for teachers, we are social people. We like interacting with other people. And this isolation has been really hard. So doing, something like that. And but Zoom fatigue is a real thing. Let me tell you, after all day Zooming with my students, and then an extra hour after school for, I run the Sci-Fi Fantasy Club, and then we had our curriculum night that night for another 2 hours in the evening the next day, and that was on Monday. So I've had to be on Zoom the whole rest of the week. So the fact that I'm here is a sign of great affection for all of you. But Zoom fatigue is definitely a real thing. And something to keep in mind as you're planning, how can we support people? Oh, let's get together on Zoom. Yeah, maybe not. Like sometimes yes, but mostly no. Some ideas, something like the teddy bear hunt that we did in the spring, that was super cute. Something like that would be really fun to do in the neighborhood. If we were to do something really awesome with Christmas lights or holiday lights or something, really support our hospital staff who are still working hard and are about to work a lot harder. So reinvigorating support for them and allowing our students to get involved in showing that support, I think would be really great. Maybe thinking about some kind of food drive for our more vulnerable communities. I think the school district has been doing an amazing job of feeding families. I know we've been taking advantage of it, and it has been a game changer in our house. I have a bin of food in the fridge for each kid that the school district has provided free of charge, and my kids can go and get themselves breakfast and get themselves lunch, and it's miraculous. I have like 5 extra minutes to breathe before I go to my next class. It's great. But yeah, something like a food drive for our more vulnerable families would be really great. Something like a cookie baking drop and swap. I don't know if you've ever done like cookie swaps where you bake a whole bunch of cookies and then you package them up individually and then you can swap with other people. Something like that could be a fun way to build community. I don't know, just some ideas. But coming up with some new exciting things for the kids to look forward to, I think would be a lot. The parade was awesome, and more stuff like that would be great. Any questions for me?
I have questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Diane, my husband
Diane.
now. It's great to hear your story and to hear Tony talk as well. We live here in the neighborhood, but I teach in the Edmond School District. I'm a school librarian. So I teach online all day too, and I have 25 Zoom meetings a week with all of my 500 students. And I know I manage 2 learning management systems and courses for all 25 of those classes and do 25 Zooms and collaborate. So I feel you. I'm wondering what the plan is for if anyone gets to go back in person. Are you responsible as a teacher to provide online learning modules and face-to-face instruction? What's the plan in Everett for that?
So my understanding is that that's a bargaining issue. That's something that our union needs to negotiate with the administration. I think that because what we're doing right now is more than full time. Being able to prepare all of these lessons, being able to put them online, because we're developing lessons that are synchronous or asynchronous. So for our students who don't have access to Zoom, who can't make the meetings for tech issues or whatever, they need to be able to access the exact same learning online without coming to the synchronous teaching time. So it's a ton of work to develop these lessons and put them out, and then we have to teach them too, which takes away from our I don't like to say takes away from our lesson planning and preparing time, but it does. All of it takes a ton of time, and I think if you were to ask a teacher to do to offer the same things for remote and in the classroom, that's more than a full-time job, and that's like a 2.5 FTE.
It totally is. I've taught middle school and high school and college. I've taught fully online. I've designed online. Now I'm doing this. I'm doing both. And I have a collaborative agreement to work with my peer group. And it's like 3 jobs in one.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing a fabulous job. Thank you for everything you're doing. It sounds great.
And yay for you, Diane. Thank you. Any other questions for Misha? I'll just add that I like your ideas, and we will also think about that, because yeah, I think all of this has worn on everybody, and we've lost sort of the fun of it. We need to find some of that joy again. And it is holiday season. I won't be giving out candy. It's okay. But we can still decorate, and we can still light up the streets with all kinds of things and do cool stuff. So yeah, thank you very much, Misha. Kristen Gebert is at Everett High School, and I actually don't know what you teach, but
I teach, I've taught math there. This is my 19th year.
Awesome.
And I teach algebra with support, which are freshmen that are behind in their math skills. And then I also teach pre-calculus there.
Holy cow. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, and my own kids went to Whittier and North and Everett High School. So we're very invested in the neighborhood. It's great. And I'm looking, like my camera's down below, and I'm looking at the screen where you guys all are. So that's why you have like an interesting like side view of me right now. But I will say that Misha is right. This is like, I'm working harder than I ever have in my whole life. And I've always been a really hard worker. And I almost didn't come tonight because I almost felt numb from exhaustion. And like you can kind of hear, I've got a little like crack in my voice right now because it's been really, really hard. My students are amazing. They are showing up. I'm having really good attendance. They sometimes show up late, but they oftentimes won't turn their cameras on. And I have a few that do, and I can't even begin to tell you how great it is to see a face as you're teaching. And I tell them that all the time, that if they can, to turn on their camera, because that is giving like energy back to their teachers, and we need it right now because we're just really suffering. But they're great. They're trying. They are trying to adapt to an online learning system. Nobody's done this before. And as a math teacher, we are also learning new curriculum this year. So we have brand new curriculum that is designed to be highly collaborative, like you work with your partners and you share and you pair and you do things, and trying to adapt that curriculum to this online learning environment has been one of the biggest challenges I've ever had in my whole life. We don't meet with our students, every student every day. We're on like a block schedule right now. So on Mondays, I see my first, second, and third period classes. Tuesdays, I see my 4, 5, and 6, and it alternates like that. And then Fridays, I see all my classes for like half an hour. We don't have enough planning time right now to do the job that we have to do. And at Everett High School, we are very collaborative in our math department. We have really strong professional learning communities. I'll show you a little bit. I'm going to share my screen and show you a few things. But we work together in the evenings. Like we have we have teachers that have little kids, just like Nisha at home, and they can't meet during the day, or they're so burnt out from trying to run their own kids at home and then doing their job that they just have to wait. So we're meeting like sometimes at 8 o'clock at night and planning and stuff like that. So our days are not ending right now, and it is exhausting. It is just absolutely exhausting. So I'm going to share my screen though, because I thought I'll give you a little glimpse as to what it looks like for me when I'm working with my students, to just give you a feel for my little world. So one of the really great things that I've used many times before is a website called Desmos, and I can see in live time, and I anonymized all their names so you don't see their names, and this is like half of my class opted to do this assignment. But I can see all of them in live time and what they're doing. And when I click on this screen, I can see their responses, and I can like type them little messages, or like I'll like say, these are like names of mathematicians. I'll say, mathematician Christine, double check on this, you might want to fix that. So we're like looking at student work in really unique ways, but that part's working well. And then kids want to talk to each other, and so putting them in what are called breakout rooms, like smaller groups where they work together, has been really amazing too. And we've learned about these things called Jamboards, which is a Google platform. And this is one that I used with my algebra kids, first as a whole class activity, and everybody, if they access the Jamboard, can work on it at the same time. So it's not just one person. So we would take turns like moving the sticky notes to the place that they needed to go and talking about why. And then I had them put in breakout rooms, and I can see in live time like the kids that are on what Jamboard they're on. And then I can like write on a little sticky note and send them messages as they're working on it, or they can ask me to come to their breakout room. So that was one that I did with my algebra kids this week. Here's one that I did with my pre-calculus kids. And it was really fun to watch. And like here, I gave them a little message, double check how you use the period to create the B value, and I could see them fixing it in live time. So we're getting really creative, but every single one of these things is something that I've made. So a Jamboard is something that I've made. This Desmos activity is either something that I made or that a colleague made. So nothing is coming like pre-planned or pre-packaged. We're creating everything, because if we just went with what was loaded in our Canvas platform, kids would not engage. So we're putting in a ton of work to try to get kids to talk and work interactively. All of my students in pre-calculus, because writing things in math is tough on most platforms, they have like a virtual notebook, and this is like their OneNote notebook. And I can push out notes and assignments to them, and then I can go through and review their work. And some kids just in math just know they hate to write on their tablet. I do too. So they can work on paper and upload an image, and I'll be happy to look at that instead of like having them look on here. So we're getting really creative, and we also use our algebra team and pre-calculus team, we also use it to plan. So this is our planning that we do, where we work on things and we put it together. Let's see, where are we here? I'm not in the right spot. Too many places. But we'll make things and we'll push them out and we'll share them with each other. So we have like a platform to like create student work. We have a platform where we have like, we're working on lessons together and loading up PowerPoints and talking and working on things. So you have to know we are working our asses off right now, and we're just kind of dying in the process. And Zoom fatigue is real, and I am not looking forward to tomorrow, even though there's probably lots of things that I want to learn, but we are going to be in Zoom meetings for like 7 hours tomorrow. And I honestly feel like a lot of the teachers, we feel like we would like to have like a couple days off to regroup and rethink how we're doing things, because we're just kind of pushing through right now and doing the best we can. But I feel like we could make some changes along the way. But my kids are awesome. So I'm getting to know them. We do things like my algebra kids, I'll make them turn on their cameras and they don't want to be seen, so they point it at the ceiling. And then I'll say, I need to know if everybody has their book, and they'll like make all their books appear in the screen, and then we'll go, okay, now we can start. Or if they don't turn the camera on, I'm like yelling at them, like, come on. So, but we're doing the best we can. It's been a challenge for sure. And when you see teachers, just know we're struggling right now. Big time.
Hey, Carrie, let's applaud it. Let's applaud those. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Kristen, thank you for sharing your screen, because I think I've maybe used Jamboard for other things, for meetings where we can collectively respond or provide feedback for something, but to see actual equations on the screen, and I'm trying to think how math was in high school. Oh my goodness. And I know Zoom fatigue is very real. That whole 7 hours, that sounds horrible. You will learn things, but I think I've done a 6-hour day in a conference setting that would have been in person, but that got taken online, and it is just, your head starts to fade out after. We all have attention spans, and they're all getting just taxed. Any questions for Kristen?
I just had a comment, and that's for those of us who haven't had kids in school for a while. We've kind of forgotten, and man, I just thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you for everything that you do.
Well, thank you for letting us come and talk. And I felt like I just wanted to be really honest tonight.
Well, I'm glad you were. I think I have a much greater appreciation for how hard it is for you guys now. I mean, I didn't think it was easy, but damn.
Well, and I always offer that. I mean, we have the Zoom for the neighborhood. So if there is that need, if you want to, as teachers, parents, whatever, we can have that. It can be an open forum, can be available, because I think that's a part of when you work with a team, you want to be with them at the end of the day and share the goods and the bads. I know I work with Misha's husband, and it's hard for our group because we're such a involved office, that what we miss the most is that idea comes to your head and you can't walk down the hall and just go, hey, what do you think about? It's like, I got to look on a calendar. Are they in a meeting? Are they in here? And that makes all of it just harder. So we all need some patience, and yeah, no, thank you so much, all of you. But questions, if anyone has anything else.
Well, I have to get going soon. I have to help my kids get ready with their evening routine. But I will say, maybe you could just, the Northwest Neighborhood Association could just reach out to Everett High as well, just for support for their staff. Just because and that's why, it's important. I do think it's important for all teachers, all schools, to where, the moments of just recognition for how hard this is, and then just any little gesture to help uplift people, because that's, I think, the reality of where we are in the point in the year, and the combined with the uncertainty of when and if it's going to change this year, and the reality of this. I mean, it's a heavy load, and it's hard work, incredibly hard work. So every little gesture of support will make a difference. So I know I'm sure every school's got something going, but spread the positive support as far as we can go to help everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I did have one suggestion for kids, and that was, if their houses are distracting, putting earbuds in or headphones is really helpful for them. And then making sure they have supplies around them, because high school kids sometimes think they can just work just off their device, and they still need paper and calculators and things like that in front of them. So just remind them of that.
Has there been a need, or have you, for a drive of backpacks or supplies or anything like that would be helpful? I realize that it generally falls into like the fall food drives and everything like that there's some sort of gift time, but is the school district taking donations from neighbors and such?
I can tell you, we don't turn anything away. We'll take anything that anyone is willing to give us, and we'll find a way to help our kids. So yeah, that's an easy answer. So yes, the district does have backpacks, but ultimately it's just we pretty much just get whatever anyone needs for the most part. And I think every school is with a similar mindset.
If there's kind of a wish list or something like that that could be provided, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's where most or many of the schools in the district have a family liaison, somebody who can coordinate with families in the community who they know have needs. Or if a student comes to the school with needs, it's the family advocate, I think is what their title's called. Anyway, who can help coordinate that. But I think that right now in this age, there are a lot of little tech needs that can be very beneficial to students. Most students, so everybody got a device, right? Everybody has a device. They have to in order to be able to do the work. Students were given hotspots in order to be able to have internet if they didn't have internet at home. The hotspots really are not very good. It's better than nothing. It's better than having to sit in the library parking lot all day, but it's still tough. So things like a little external USB mouse is like a little wireless mouse makes a huge difference, especially for the younger kids. My second grader was struggling with the touchpad, and when I gave him a mouse, it made a really big difference just with his fine motor skills to be able to get where he needs to go and navigate that way. Headphones are huge, especially headphones that have a microphone. Those make a huge difference, especially for kids who are trying to work from the Y or work from childcare, or for kids who are working with the whole rest of the family at home, living their life. Some way to, so, if there's a way to do like a headphones drive, mouse, even like a extra keyboard or things like that, those can be really, really helpful for students. We found that whiteboards and markers are huge because students can reuse them and reuse them and reuse them and reuse them. So those are really, really useful things. Whiteboard markers are really helpful for kids, little erasers, things like that. Yeah, and then just showing the kids, I think whenever you see kids, instead of asking them how school is going, just congratulate them for like, instead of how's school going, it's you're doing the remote learning. Look at you. That's amazing. Good job. I could never have done that when I was your age. I am so impressed that you're doing that right now. Just words of encouragement. I think our kids really need that right now. Our teachers too. Oh my gosh.
You're doing awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not, but thanks.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine science as well. I know someone I work with, she has a little camera that she can hold over what she's working on, so that way it projects onto the screen, and so that's very helpful too, because it is science lessons. These are all wonderful ideas, and we will, as a steering committee, get together. That means all these people that I see your faces, we'll have a discussion later. We'll come up with some good stuff. Yeah, we'll bring back the fun and supplies, and because I think I wanted to get t-shirts. Maybe this could be the fundraiser. See, I'm thinking out loud. But I had said that we as a neighborhood hug Whittier, right? We're the neighborhood that surrounds that school. So maybe then this is our way to do that. Bye, Diane.
No, I was going to offer something up. I don't know if Misha literally wants it, but I have 30 whiteboards that are about 10 by 12 with markers, and I'm happy to donate them to her classroom if she thinks that would help. If not, we can find another source or recipient.
I have a classroom set of whiteboards, not markers, they're all dead, but I have a class set of whiteboards. The problem is I have 186 students. So 30 whiteboards, it just doesn't go that far, unfortunately.
Would you like the 30 that I have? Because I'm happy to set you up if there's a way to do that for you, if that would help.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming. Have a good night. Keep up the great work. Well, okay, everybody. I think this was wonderful, and I really appreciate your time, Kristen and Misha and Tony, who just left. Because I think, and then when other people watch this who weren't here, to help them understand how it is out there. I think that's critically important. So thank you, Tim, for the idea, because yeah, we can talk about anything, and we could meet more than once. I mean, there's no reason for us not to use the Zoom. I'm realizing that, you know, fatigue. However, but it can be used for fun things, and we can use it for other ways to educate the neighbors about what's going on. So keep that in mind. Any other thoughts from the group before we all go to something that has nothing to do with the screen? No. Okay. Silence. All right, everybody, I'm going to unmute you all, and then we all can give a big round of applause for our teachers.
Yay!
Yay!
Thanks for letting us come.
They watch this. Yes. Thank you so much. So again,
Sorry.
yeah, thanks for being here, and we will see
Great
y'all.
job. Great job.
See you soon. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Be safe out there.
Yes, you too.
Thank you. You too.
Wear a mask. Wash your hands.